Welcome to the Unchurching Podcast.
There's just so much more.
I'm sorry, but Disney just turned on our TV by itself.
Dude, maybe
what is going on? We haven't had Disney for the longest time, and now it's just turning itself on and wants to play things.
Or maybe there's energy. Maybe there's an entity in the room with you.
No. Okay. What? Like a child's energy that wants to watch Disney?
Hey, dude, these entities like to do the most human things. So yes, watch Disney is probably what it wants to do.
Well, look, if something comes on in the background, it's not me, especially if it's Frozen or some crap like that. Welcome back to the welcome back to the pod. Yeah, welcome back to Unchurching. Hey, thanks for joining us once again, and we hope that we are bringing you valuable insights as we go through this journey. If you are a new listener, welcome. Thanks for joining us. We see listenership grow every week, and so that's very exciting for us because we do feel like we're reaching more people with meaningful and important information. If you have not listened from episode 1, I encourage you to go back and listen, because this is a journey that we've been on, that you're likely on, and the journey really starts in episode 1. And so it might not be our very best work, episode 1, but do go back and follow from there, and we'd love to hear your thoughts and comments on that.
Yeah, hi. Today is going to be fun, but also a little serious. So before we start today, actually, I want to put out a little disclaimer out there, because I want everyone listening to be very clear that today, you probably saw the title, but today we are not giving away medical advice by any means. Rachelle should definitely not be trusted with medical advice.
I don't know about that, but yes, for legal purposes,
yes,
this is our official disclaimer to you.
Yes. And so if you are experiencing anything we're going to speak about today medically, don't just assume that you're awakening and you're going to be fine. Go see someone, go to a wellness center, find information. Don't just be like, oh, well, I'm just going to sit here and suffer through this, because we are not responsible. Yes. Today, we're just sharing like our lived experience. We're just sharing what our physical bodies have been through in this process that have been wild and weird and wonderful at the same time. But this is doing the work. This is what doing the work really truly looks like. And so, yes, just to be really clear, no medical advice from us, and we'll give pointers and help for today, but also your responsibility to use your intuition to know what your body needs when it needs it.
Yeah, it's interesting that you use that word intuition, because that really is how we've guided through this journey. And when I say this journey, I'm in month 11 now of working through, I'm going to call it chronic suffering. And I don't say that with a negative connotation. Suffering is actually a door to awakening. I find it impossible, and I have not heard of anybody who's gone through an awakening process without some form of suffering. Yeah. Mine has been physical, and there are reasons for that. And we're actually going to get into my fuller story next week. So today is not about my full story. I will be drawing from it, but for the most part, this is to give you insights as to the general side of what happens during awakening to your body. Now, Rachelle went through a mental awakening, but there were still effects on her physical body. Yeah. And so the scary thing to me right now is that the more I've been down this road and the more I've learned to trust my intuition, the more I've realized that that is not the norm. We lose touch with our bodies over time. Yeah. A lot of the time we lose touch with our bodies because we are under paradigms and programs that force us to be disembodied. If you think about church life, there's not a lot of embodiment that happens in church life. You actually consider your body to be passing away and that it does not have any importance, and you're going to escape it one day and go to this magical place called heaven. And so you do not give attention to what your body is in tune with, and that links to your intuition about what is going on in your body. And so through my experience, I went to see a medical doctor once, the very first night, and it was an absolute disaster. Yes. And I decided to trust my intuition and not follow medical advice along the way. I worked with wellness centers. I worked with spiritual people. And I worked mostly with myself and my intuition. And I'm not saying that's for everybody. I can tell you that there were many times when I wish I could just get the drugs and numb the pain. But I also realized that that brings up a massive mask in what was trying to happen in and through me for my own good. And so while Rachelle puts out a medical disclaimer, I want to raise awareness about this particular point, that right now all over the world, people are going through spiritual awakenings in their bodies, physically, with physical things happening in their bodies, and it's being radically misunderstood.
Yeah.
They're being diagnosed with anxiety disorders, with autoimmune disorders, with mysterious chronic conditions that have no names, with nerve disorders, digestive issues, depression, and so-called incurable illnesses that doctors simply can't explain.
Yeah.
And many of them get put on medications, on painkillers, on opioids, because your body is screaming out to deal with the pain.
Yeah.
And this is not because the body is broken, but it's because awakening is trying to happen through a physical form. And I will get into why it's through a physical form. But this is what's happening in many people. And we're not taught this, and we're not taught what it looks like, and we're not taught what it feels like. We sure as hell aren't taught how to deal with it.
Yeah.
And so I want you to realize that there is an intuition in you that needs to determine, is this something physical where you need some sort of physical intervention medically or such, or is this part of an awakening? And that falls on you.
But it's so hard because I know we've been back and forth like questioning stuff, and I don't know if it's like a blessing or a curse, but like we haven't really had the financial means through this, you know, with you being at home for like the past year, not being able to do anything. We really haven't had the means to just pop you over to a doctor and get some painkillers or get something. But in essence, what's happening is like people think they're sick and don't realize they're awakening. And so what happens is you get the medication masks the symptoms, and it kind of keeps you just in that state of like not being symptomatic. But what it really is doing, it's just storing that trauma that's trying to be released out of your body and is manifesting in this way. It just keeps that dumbed down. And it's just like, I really wonder how many people are truly experiencing physical awakening right now. And I also wonder how new it is, because I also feel like it's pretty new that we've become aware. Even though books have been written years ago, I feel like the like collective as a whole is only becoming really aware of this now, maybe?
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if every age feels like that. I'm not sure. I mean, you don't hear, certainly when you look back at our history, we can go on what we know as a generation. And no disrespect to the older generation. Maybe you could chime in on this and send us an email or comment or hit us up on the website and tell us what you think. But I don't feel like my grandparents were going through any kind of awakening. I certainly didn't see the fruit of it. I don't feel like, I love you, Mom, but I don't feel like my parents went through any sort of real awakening, conscious awakening. I don't feel like there's a collective conscious awakening.
No.
Whereas now in the world, I feel like there is a massive collective conscious awakening. And that's evidenced in people wanting to change the way they work, change the way they live. They're questioning governments, questioning religious systems, things like this. And the way they're questioning them is in terms of how it's impacting your outlook on life, how it's impacting the control of what you might have been brought here to do or came here to do and such. And there's a whole conversation about that. But I think you're right. I think this is exactly why I think the timing of what we're talking about and is so good, and why it's important that people that are going through awakening situations do talk about it, because it is in the collective that we find these answers and help each other. And, you know, the real heartbreaking side of this is that some people start going through symptoms that are awakening symptoms, and they sink into depression, not understanding what's really happening, or some, you know, turn to addiction because your body's in crisis and you don't know why, and nobody can give you answers, nobody can tell you. And some, sadly, don't even make it through.
Yeah.
Some will take their own lives because of this. I can't help but feel that due to the stress and the traumas that we carry in our lives, both because of how we structure our lives and how we never learned how to release trauma, that the suicide rates we see nowadays are directly related to a misunderstanding about awakening. That is a big statement. It's a big statement. But the further I've gone along this line, the more I am aware that that kind of confusion leading to depression, leading to pharmaceutical abuse, and whatever other factors, mental disillusionment, can all lead to that place. I will be upfront and share that I have had 3 moments during this process where I have really not wanted to live anymore. I've had one moment near the beginning where I sat with a gun on the edge of a bed and truly considered if I would take my own life. This is real, and it's deep, and it's difficult. And that's why we are trying to, I know we're harping on about it. I know we're like 10 minutes into this episode and you're probably like, get on with it already. But I just want you to get like how important this is.
Yeah.
For you and for those around us.
Yeah, it is. It is. And so today we're really just going to dive into like some kind of things we've seen and how to be aware of it. Because again, once you're aware of it, you start just questioning things. And from that place, you can make intuitive decisions on how you want to move forward with what you might be going through. And so your body's probably just doing things that you don't recognize, right? And so that's the biggest thing. So there's things, this is just like an overview of like pain, swelling, tingling, insomnia, digestion changes, emotional waves, and it feels frightening and it feels like what the heck is going on. But I want to just reassure everyone listening today that you're not broken. You may be awakening. That's what those symptoms might be. And your body's actually just communicating with you.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Your body is speaking to you and shifting and reorganizing. And I mean, like I said, I'll share my full story next week, but I literally went from 31st of December feeling the fittest I've probably ever felt I've been in my body, not realizing how unfit I was in my lifestyle, particularly when it came to work, and not realizing how much trauma I'd carried in my life that hadn't been released, to the very next day starting this journey that's been 11 months of releasing that trauma and reorganizing how life should be. Yeah. And that is a very long journey. And when I reflect on that journey, I can see, when you have those times in your life where they're bittersweet, it's like, I never want to go back and do that again ever in my life. But at the same time, you're psychopathically grateful for
That's a great word.
Yeah, for everything grateful. You learned, and we wouldn't be sitting here doing this podcast if it weren't for it. And so when I reflect on that journey, I have grown in great empathy for people that are going through things, but I've also grown in great empathy for myself. And that sounds weird, but a lot of this is stop the bus, sort yourself out. And so as we talk about sort of body changes today, not all of it is dire. Everybody goes through a different journey. Everybody goes through different stuff. But during awakening, when you're going through this, we want to get into a little bit of why old patterns are there, why old pain sort of returns, and why you become more sensitive in your body, why the nervous system feels so overloaded. I mean, I'm a guy who has music on 24/7. I come from radio, for crying out loud. 24/7. Ask Rachelle.
Not a lie.
And I have had large periods of time, even at this current time, where I just can't. I can't listen to music, TV, lights, I mean, Rachelle will come home and the house is silent, and that is
It's very weird.
very weird. But my nervous system has had to reset. And so there's something that we want you to pick up in this episode about listening to your body as a teacher instead of just fearing it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so true, because people always just think awakening is a mind thing, because even before you understand that the mind is the mind of creator source, you just all feel like awakening is this like understanding or knowledge or mental thing. But awakening for a lot of people starts in the body, because your ego is actually attached to your body. Your ego actually relates to your body, and your ego wants you to make your body the most important thing. Because the only thing the ego can use to attack others is the body, right? And so because your ego and your body is so closely attached to each other, a lot of times awakening will come to the body, because diminish that body and not being able to do stuff with that body and fearing that you're going to lose this body, the ego has to start taking a back seat. And then once the ego starts taking a back seat, that's kind of the crack that opens for the light to come through, and for you to realize, wait, there's another version of myself that is not attached to my body and to the attack of the world, but maybe this version of myself that is higher, that can learn to operate in empathy, that can learn to operate in love, that can learn to operate in stillness and calmness and peace wherever you go. And so it's obvious that the body is the tool, but it's not malfunctioning. It's just recalibrating. And this is what we need to start understanding as we speak about this awakening process through the body.
Yeah. And when you speak about awakening, you know, there are some obvious things that go along with awakening. There's energy that goes along with awakening. There's a different energy that comes into your life. There's a different energy that you need to manage. But that means there are also energies that need to be released from your body.
Yes.
You know, that have sat in your body. What we don't realize is that there are systems in our body that we were not really taught about. We were not really updated about. Things that are probably more important than the stuff that we learned in school. Two of those being the nervous system, one, that is just sort of touched on. You might remember a diagram of nerves running all over your body. But how it works, how it's affected, what you're doing right now in this very moment, and what you're doing to it at work and in relationships and such. We're not taught that and how to manage that. And the other is fascia. And I know some people are like, fascia is like some buzzword going around. Well, it fucking should be, because it's important. It's probably one of the most important things in your body.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, but I get pissed off when people downplay things that are actually impacting other people's lives. That's like you could walk around saying, oh, cancer is just a buzzword going around right now.
Oof.
Listen, if somebody is dealing with fascia and they don't know what the problem is, and they're misdiagnosed and they take their own life, is that not something important to talk about? Yeah. So what actually happens in your body is, and I'm sorry I'm heated about that, but
a little bit.
but in a way, you know, it's like when you start sharing these things for the first time, we have so much in this world that is not true, so much that is just buzz, and people want to sell you this and sell you that when you come to something real, it's hard for people to understand. You almost have to shake people and go, listen, this is a serious topic. If I fast forward, I've got a maintenance guy who came to our apartment to do some work a little while ago, and he asked how I'm doing, and I said, yeah, I'm still healing, and he asked me what was going on, and it was just in passing, and I shared with him, everybody has fascia in their body. It covers your whole body, and your mind doesn't actually remember your memories. Your fascia holds your memories. And that means that the traumatic experiences in your life are stored in your fascia. And so if you don't deal with them, they stay there. And what's happened to me is that they have surfaced. And my fascia, as part of my awakening process, has had to deal through these memories of trauma and release them. Why? Because it's energy, like we said earlier. It's energy that is stuck, that needs to be released from your body. And he turned to me and he said, and this is a young guy, he turned to me and he said, so what you're saying is I have that in my body right now.
Wow.
And I was like, wow, not only is that crazy perceptive, but I was taken back for a minute, and then I said, yeah, Actually, you do. And that is the reality. We all have it. We all have traumas stuck in our fascia. Now, I'm not saying you're going to go through some massive physical awakening like I have, but I am saying to you that through the process of awakening, you are going to have to deal with those stuck energies, and they are going to want to be released. And if you keep resisting it, the body will find a way, and hence you end up with symptoms.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think on that note, just to say as well, like, if you aren't sure, like if you've healed trauma or if you have stuck stored energy in your body that you do need to release, I would highly suggest you start breath work as a good gauge to like start breathing, start connecting to your breath, because doing breath work and breathing in that way will start to release stuck stored energy. And hopefully, like if you have not reached symptom level yet, by starting breath work and maybe including meditation, go back and listen again to Justin Lovato's episode on all the tools for awakening. Start using them, because you could actually like skip a few steps and maybe a few like traumatic, symptomatic responses from your body if you actually start moving that energy through and becoming aware of it. Because awareness is always going to help you. Your nervous system needs to shift from survival mode into awareness. And I think by employing those techniques, you can help your nervous system do this, because humans are in fight or flight mode way too many hours of the day. The person that cuts in front of you in the traffic, like getting upset about that is you activating your nervous system and causing trauma in your body. Every time you overreact, every time you get angry, every time you hold something in, every time you have to grieve something and you don't allow those emotions to pass through you. And I'm speaking to a lot of men here as well, ladies too. I'm a strong lady who needs to not like let her emotions get the best of her. So I know holding things in, how they can affect you too. But dude, people need to cry. There's so many ways to release this energy that we've been stopped from doing as society. And it's the best time to start is right now if you're just listening to this.
Yeah, that's true. And your body, it comes to a point where it feels like overload. And that overload is actually awakening. It's actually your system coming back to life. If you think about the process of awakening, it's not just like, oh, now I see they're trying to manipulate me. No, awakening is all encompassing. So it does involve your body, because what's actually happening is one of the very foundational things is you're learning to live in the present moment. Yeah. And living in the present moment requires you to be in your body. It requires you to be embodied. This is not some spiritual thing, though there are a lot of spiritual truths that you learn along this way, and that still does become like the defining factor of the journey. But a big part of it is living through those spiritual truths in an embodied life, so that you are actually here on this planet, enjoying this time, not just waiting for someone on a cloud to come down and rescue you from this horrible place one day. That is a ridiculous, disembodied, unengaged way to live. And so you do start enjoying your life more, because you realize, wow, I've got this privilege of being in this body. I can enjoy it. You do start enjoying your life. And I'm saying that still in pain, still going through the process of this physical awakening. And you do start enjoying your life, because you start realizing, wow, I'm not under what I used to be under, which was completely deceiving me. But because you're awakening, the filters that you had before to perceive things start to loosen. Yeah. And so the filters of what you're feeling in your body starts to loosen. Why are you feeling that in your body? That starts to loosen. And you have to start becoming awakened to why. Is it trauma? Is it whatever? The energy meridians start to open. New energies want to come in. Good energies. Old energies need to get out. So this is all a lot of stuff that start happening. But basically what's happening is your system, as it was designed to work, is coming back to life. Yeah. You think you're dying, but you're actually...
No, you think you're dying.
Your body's frequency, your body's frequency is actually leveling back to balance where it understands how to live.
Yeah. It's true. And like, so for you, you've had to go through the nervous reset, right? And so for me, who hasn't really had a physical awakening, it's actually epic when your energy shifts and when you do have a clear energy channel and when you're aware of your energy systems that run through your body, which I never used to focus on. I can now, only like 6 months into this journey, really, I can control my energy systems. I can open my heart chakra up and I'm able to impact my environment and people that way. It's just love. That's all it is, you know. But when you understand the energy and you become aware of it because you're awakening, you're actually tapping into your superpowers. And so as much as I know you're going to have a lot to speak about on like the hard stuff, there's a lot of exciting stuff that comes with this too. And learning your energy system and actually being able to control your energy system and find your calm and peace as well is a really cool part of this process.
Yeah. It's amazing. It's
Sorry.
No, you're right. Because I'm just, as you're talking, I'm thinking about like just how much it all involves, you know. I mean, I think our current friend group who only met me during this process.
Yeah, like June.
Like deep into this process already, have never known me any other way. They've only known me as weak, physically weak. Crazy. They've only known me as in pain. Mm-hmm. They don't know the previous me. And the good thing is they've been so loving, so supportive, so helpful. Every one of them wants to help me get better.
Yeah.
But every one of them also wants me to have my sovereignty of going through my awakening journey.
So cool.
And it's really amazing to have that. But from my end, it has done what awakening does in that sense, in that it's dealt with my ego.
Yep.
I have had to be very vulnerable in front of these people. These people have carried me physically to the restroom. They have carried me physically up and down stairs when I couldn't.
Yeah.
You know, they have had to put up with, I don't know, maybe me just sitting around being miserable or not being able to be at things or things. I mean, it's man, it has taken a lot to let yourself be that vulnerable, let myself be that vulnerable and that humble when I was always a guy who had the answers and was the one helping others. To allow myself to be helped, to ask my wife for the 1,000th time to please fetch me something. It's not easy. To not be a provider in the house, to not be able to bring an income in because your body will not let you work. There is absolutely no way. And then to deal with the financial instability of that. These are all things that are real life situations. Asking for help through GoFundMe and things like that. These are really, you know, people think, oh yeah, collecting money. And this is really difficult. These are difficult thresholds to cross.
Really.
But it's all part of awakening and deals with you as a person. And it really does draw you into your understanding of the need for the collective. Yes.
It's a big deal.
And for authenticity.
Yeah, it's a big deal. And I think in all of that as well, like I love that. Like a thought I had, like moving into another thought of kind of what does surface in this time and what I've seen for you as well. I think like when we speak of energy, when those energy blocks actually dissolve, your consciousness opens up and you become more aware of your body. And so what actually starts happening, and I think, and I'll explain this in a little bit as well, but like old pain surfaces, old emotions, old injuries, and you're like, what the heck? How is this coming around? But it's because your body, I think in a sense also finally starts feeling safe to actually feel the things that's going on in it. I think I experienced that. When you're like, whoa, my consciousness is expanding. I'm becoming really aware of things. Yeah, maybe it's because my body finally feels safe to authentically be what it is. I don't know. I just thought of that now. But I know your fascia holds memory too, so a lot of that stuff's getting released in it. But I don't know. What do you think?
I think the journey is to just correct it a little bit is that your body feels unsafe. And that's why it issues pain signal. And that pain signal is not always trustworthy, because that pain signal is not necessarily some major physical ailment. Often your body issues pain because it doesn't want you to face greater pain and it's trying to keep you safe.
Okay.
But when you start, when that is the journey to help your nervous system feel safe despite the changes, so that it can adjust to what is now.
Okay. Yeah, that's good. And we're always going to have a different perspective on this, because for you, pain has been a tool to bring you awakening. For me, if I've experienced something, it's because of my awakening that I've become more aware of and can use in a sense. So we just have we're coming from two different ends of the same spectrum, but it's very interesting.
Well, it's like when you were going through your awakening, which was really mental.
Yeah.
You had physical things happening as well. And that was trauma. I mean, you had to process traumas from even your childhood and such. You might have been processing them mentally, but it still happened in your body. You still had moments where you were shaking. You still had moments where, what else was happening to you? Lack of energy and
it's completely
the desire to run away.
Yeah, it's hard to really think back, because I was so in my head at that time I don't think I was even aware of what was going on in my body, but I knew everything felt hard physically. If I compare to how energetic I am now with my energy systems aligned and what I get to do in a day now as compared to what I was doing there, I was fatigued, I was unmotivated, I wasn't working out, I was just stuck in this mental turmoil, and my body just kind of shut down, I think, is what probably
I think fatigue is a massive one.
Yeah.
Fatigue's a massive one. I think people learn to live with fatigue.
I agree.
I know we did most of our lives. Most of our lives we've been tired.
Yeah. Because we've been in fight or flight mode 24/7.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I can't think back on it now and not realize, wow, I wonder if I would have had more energy if I knew how to release the traumas that I was going through.
Yeah. Or just be aware what fight or flight feels like, because you think you have to be in danger and faced by a bear, and then your body will either fight or fly. You'll either run away or you're going to fight the bear, right? So you think you're always thinking that's the situation when I'll figure my fight or flight. But no, it's every disagreement or argument when I used to walk out the room and couldn't deal with, that's your nervous system in overload, and that's me flying swiftly away. But there are all these things, your responses, it's the reactions, your constant reaction to everything in life. Oh, look at what she did. Look at what they did. Look, that person just cut me off. And I was going to take that, I was going to say trolley, shopping cart. Someone else took it. That constant, inner turmoil, that's fight or flight. And so identifying that and starting to become aware of when you feel unsettled within you, that's a good gauge, because for me, I felt unsettled all the time. If I think back now, Yeah,
that fight or flight, it's based at the fundamental human level, it's based on survival.
Yeah,
it is. When we were living in the wild and you're being chased by an animal, it's fight or flight, or other tribes or such. So that is in us. You cannot change that. But in the modern world, when you are faced with bills that you have to pay, that triggers the same response.
Right,
it's a survival response.
Yeah.
It's fight or flight. It is releasing chemicals and energies in your body that have the same response as being chased by a tiger.
Yeah.
And so there's that. Then you have the ego at play as well, that has been driven largely by our desire for comfort, which we think is survival, but it's not. You don't need the next model phone or car in order to survive.
Yeah.
Yet you'll put your body through massive stresses that are related to fight or flight symptoms because you have to pay the bill for those things.
Yeah.
And you'll do that to yourself because of modern comfort or because of modern ego.
Yeah.
And so these are the things that are at play. And so when we speak about, as you mentioned, old injuries, yes, those can be emotions that return. And you can have situations before that triggered certain fight or flight emotions in you, or abusive emotions in you. And these things start resurfacing at this point. So let me give you an example that I've just actually written in the draft for the book that I'm writing about this. And I want to be careful with this because I don't want to expose anybody too roughly, but there is also no way to tell the story without those who know knowing. But it's my story nonetheless.
Okay.
You know, I grew up with a stepfather who was, and honestly, I actually only just figured this out a couple days ago.
Yeah.
I don't know why I've never thought about this. I actually deliberately sat down and did a day of grieving to release grief energy from my body, which I think has been one of the final steps in my healing. But, and you can look at my Instagram, I spoke more about that. But I realized that the fight or flight sort of mainstream that I grew up under was because of my stepfather, who was physically and emotionally abusive.
Mm-hmm.
And I put two and two together only now, 46 years later, or 40 years later, and went, holy shit, he was a narcissist. He was a full-on narcissist. Years later, I had a business partner who also turned out to be a raging narcissist. And I'm talking like if there were clinical narcissism. This is not like somebody, stepfather, and this is not somebody who's just like, oh, I have a big ego. If you study narcissism, it is an intense psychological thing. Many believe that narcissists cannot change. Mm-hmm. It is all about them. And even things that do wrong and apologies turn out to be about them. It's very weird. I don't know what the word is. It's it's a lot. But when we had a falling out in the business and I had to release him from the business, that was the first time I'd ever had a full-on anxiety attack.
Right. I remember that.
And you were there, babe. You sat with me in the yard. And you know, I've never been like that. Couldn't stop crying, couldn't stop shaking, couldn't control my body, but also couldn't feel my body.
Yeah.
Couldn't think. There was nothing. I'd never experienced anything like it in my life. And I feel really empathetic for those that deal with that level of anxiety and those anxiety attacks. That's why I hope this episode and the future episodes about this will help you. Mm-hmm. But in doing the grieving the other day, I realized, oh, wait a minute, that moment right there, because I couldn't quite figure out why I responded so harshly to this one incident.
This is amazing.
Well, I wasn't responding to one incident, was I?
No.
Those were emotions returning from decades earlier of living under a narcissistic stepfather. That narcissism had stayed as trauma in my fascia and had resurfaced in that moment, in that loop, as emotions were returning and playing out through my body. That was an old injury returning.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's very obvious now that that's what that was. And that's crazy. It's cool that you get to relate it back because you also understand that that was your body helping you release the crying and even the...
I mean, it was trying.
I know. But
it was trying, yeah.
This is a thing with anxiety attacks, right? It is this trauma resurfacing and there has to be an expression of it. You have to release that energy. But what tends to happen is when you're not aware of it, you go back into the loop of attaching to that trauma and not releasing it. Because if you aren't aware of what you're trying to release and why you're anxious over this particular situation, you just swallow it back in. Even if you cry it out, you pull it back in and that's still my trauma. That's my trigger. That's what's always going to get me. And it doesn't have to be that way. Like, as when you can learn to let that go, but you have to recognize what the patterns are to be able to do that. that's when you start. This is work. Like this whole
Yes.
this whole journey is work, and it's being really mindful of it. And what was crazy was we've had a new friend, I love him, come into our group literally this week as well. And I spoke to him the night before last. We were chatting and he was going, it's very clear to me that everyone in this group is going through something, because we all are. We are all going through something. And he's like, but what's amazing to me is that the reason for that is because you're all actually doing the work. He said that. He could recognize it. And so I think you can start awakening, but you can bury it all under and just keep going with your life, or you can become aware. Dive into what your body's telling you, face your fears, face your trauma, face your triggers, face all the things. And then from that place, I mean, now we're going to talk about then your body's going to start having some symptoms, but that's you doing the work. And the outcome is going to be absolutely wonderful, because those triggers will leave, the trauma will dissolve. You will find peace and light and calm at the end of this very dark tunnel. And it's a really, really positive thing. And I can say that personally because I feel like I'm on the other side of really having to battle anything right now. And so there is a light. We will get there. And our bodies are absolutely magical for being this strong, for helping us be able to process it and get there. So shout out to your bodies.
Definitely. There's definitely been a journey of me realizing how intelligent my body is.
Yeah.
That your body does know how to deal with this stuff. Your body does know how to heal itself. But you need to help it, because you are also your body.
Got to do the work.
And
I know.
you can bring spiritual energy in, but there's physical space. I mean, I listened to a podcast just yesterday that was one of the most valuable things that I've listened to in these 11 months, just speaking about flare-ups, because if you're going through physical awakening, a strong chance that you come to a point where everything feels like it's getting on track and you feel, okay, I'm through it. And then your body flares up again, and how that can feel, how you feel so destroyed by it, and you'd put your hope that this was done, and then swelling happens again, or burning happens again, or nerve pain happens again. I've had all of those. And if you've had those or you're having those, just realize that there is, like Rachelle says, work to be done. You need to change the paradigms you believed before about pain and what your body is carrying to what your body is saying, and what you actually need to learn from that. When we speak about memory releasing, fascia releasing memory, these are things you have to actually physically work through. You have to remember those times. You have to work through that trauma, and it doesn't all release at once. It's not like, okay, done with all my trauma. No, one resurfaces, and that might feel like a burning in a certain part of your body. It might feel like a muscle spasm in a certain part of your body. It's not actually muscle. It's actually fascia. It's actually fascia trying to release a trauma. And you don't know which trauma it is. So you got to work through all of them, for crying out loud. And then what you'll find is your nervous system rebuilds and restructures. And that is burning. It burns like fire. And that is your nerves restructuring. And then it doesn't only do it once. It does it on deep layers. Then it does it on a shallower layer. And then it does it on skin level, where your skin is so sensitive that you can't even really bear clothes on your skin. And so, you know, like I said before, fear not. Everybody goes through different things, and there's a reason why I've been going through all of these things, and there's a reason why you are going through your things. But the points remain the same. You have to deal. That's part of awakening. This is not some floofy, as I keep saying, buy your next crystal thing. This is real. And if you want to live, and you want to live free, and you want to live free from all the stuff that has been put on you and told you how to think and who you are, which isn't who you are, well, this is a bumpy gravel road.
Yes. I think on the positive side, whatever does
Well,
surface,
they're the funnest roads to drive, because you can slide the car around. And
yeah, if you have a
it's
Jeep.
fun, but it's very visceral. Yeah.
Dude, yeah,
visceral.
so visceral. Yeah. I think what surfaces or even what resurfaces, because if you don't address the thing's going to come back around to meet you on another day, right? And I think what surfaces or resurfaces, if you understand that is actually ready to leave, it's surfacing because your body's like, hey, here, let me present to you this trauma. It's doing that is so that you could be like, oh, let me look at this thing. What? You're ready to leave? Cool. Let's face it. Let's do the work. Let it go. Those things are ready. That's why they're coming up. They're not just coming up willy-nilly. So that's a great positive.
Willy-nilly.
I don't know why I said willy-nilly. Do I ever say willy-nilly? Well,
willy-nilly.
Maybe. Dude, well, that's it. But that's a positive thing. So when you have that come up, instead of going like, oh, crap, it's this thing again, like, oh, I have fear, I don't want to face it, go like, oh, hey, trauma, welcome back. I see you're ready to leave. Let's get you out of me so that I can move on with my life. Move on and up, which is really
and that
cool.
sounds easy to do. We recognize it's not easy to do.
It can be, but it can be.
It is an ongoing practice.
Yes, and once you understand the practice and the thing comes around, it gets easier and easier to release these things that keep coming up for you because you understand the process and this is how it works.
Yeah, some of the things that are really common with people, because I've mentioned some pretty detailed things, but some things that are a bit more common are things like digestion or sleep or hormones that shift. These are all real. You had a bit of a digestion thing going on with your awakening.
I mean, I had all three of these, honestly. But so I know before I was like, when I was like in the turmoil of mental stuff, sleep was awful for me because my body was trying to process everything. And so I know when you wake up during the nights, there are certain times of nights, and you know this well, where your body's processing certain things. But for me, I think it was just the mental disturbance that I was in fight or flight even when I was sleeping, like holding on to this. Because the awakening will get you to a point where you have to decide to like take this journey, and it feels like death. You have to go through a death and a rebirth at the beginning of this journey. And so for me, I was in constant turmoil, and sleep felt like death. It felt like sleep was just hard. It was the hardest thing for me to do. And then another thing that happened, and this was like further on after I'd like gotten through all of that, and I actually started awakening in a positive way to becoming like getting my energy aligned and getting all those things happening. Once I started aligning with first who I am, but also my energetic systems within my body, my digestion and hormones shifted like completely. And you know what's crazy is I think every like ad you see is for a new digestion like tablet or women's hormones, you know, like cortisol levels, all this, got a flabby belly, that's your cortisol because you're in perimenopause. And I know it's probably my age, but I see perimenopause like everywhere, and I hadn't heard about it till this year. Like there's a pre-menopause, how fun. But in essence, what this actually was, I know, so fun, is that when your body calibrates into its truer self, there's disturbances in your body. And so like I couldn't digest things or eat things that I would have no problem with. I was experiencing a lot of bloating, discomfort in my digestion. And I actually said to a friend, this was months ago when I was still learning about what all this stuff was. I said to her, I wonder if I do have digestive issues or if this is my body recalibrating and it's having to learn how to digest in this higher vibration. And this change in frequency and my hormones, maybe my cortisol is off because I'm in a different, again, energy that my body's moving in, and it needs to work through that. And so obviously I did everything that was naturally available for me to do. It's a great like, like beef organ supplements. My hair started falling out through this awakening process as well. And it's just, everyone thinks it's perimenopause. Everyone thinks it's just being a woman that's in her 40s. I don't think it's true. I think there are a lot of women going through awakening that are moving through this journey and their bodies are recalibrating. And I'm not saying don't do anything about it. I fueled my body for what it needed. But as soon as I became aware and started treating my body in a new way, everything came back into alignment. And now I've honestly never been healthier in my life. I've never slept better in my entire life as I am right now. Sorry, babe. But it's true. And so
thanks.
there is all this like emotional detox, endocrine recalibration, there's processing, there's trauma stored in your organs, there's parasympathetic shifts that have to happen in your digestion system. There's all this stuff that has to change. But when your consciousness changes, you got to understand that your chemistry changes too. And so being aware of that and knowing, wait, my body's changing for the good. How can I help it and support it in this by giving it good supplements and good food? It's night and day for me now. Like I feel like my body's younger than it's ever been. Well, that sounds weird, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. No, it's true. And, you speak about sleep. I'll speak more about sleep and my sleep situation next week in terms of how insomnia gets to you.
Yeah.
But some of the things you mentioned, it's like, I could set the clock on when I would wake up. When I wake up every hour pretty much, or every hour and a half, but I absolutely knew I would wake up at 2 o'clock, and I absolutely knew I would wake up at 4 a.m.
Yeah.
There was just two of them that were in between all the others. But when you start looking particularly at Chinese medicine, which seems to tell us more truth than our own medicine,
Right.
2 o'clock is when the spleen wakes up, and the spleen operates to work out toxins out of your body at 2 o'clock while you're sleeping. These are things that we take for granted that our bodies are doing and working on while we rest.
It's amazing.
And 4 o'clock, your liver wakes up, and that's processing. So when you're going through detoxing a lot of stuff in your body, and let me help you understand that when you release trauma in your body tends to respond by releasing toxin. And so therefore you have to release it out of your body. Well, guess what? Your body's actually helping you by doing that, but it's waking you up in pain. And so you are then having to deal with insomnia. And this deals with a vicious loop. I mean, I haven't slept properly for a year. So,
Crazy.
it has its effect on you. But then you mentioned hormones and chemical shifts, and that impacts that as well. So if you're in pain and you're going through a physical awakening and you're dealing with chronic pain, I don't want to say illness because it isn't illness, chronic awakening, chronic suffering, understand that, or if you're with someone who's going through it, understand that that person is not necessarily more grumpy. That person is not necessarily lashing out at you. And things that they say doesn't give them a free pass, but things that they say and things that they do in the way that they are sometimes, they actually often don't have control over it. I've never been in a point where I haven't had control over my reactions until going through this process.
Yeah.
Where I actually look back and I go, yes, I'm sorry for that, but man, I don't even know where that came from.
Right.
And I was only set free from that guilt once I realized that these are chemicals that happen in our bodies in this process that we actually can't control. And so all this trauma that's stored in your organs that's being released actually has a dire result through your body. And I think that's why so many couples really struggle as well going through this, especially if one person is awakening and showing these symptoms, or it seems like their attitude has changed towards me or whatever. And it's very difficult. It's a very difficult situation, those things, that emotional detox that comes with a physical detox and that whole endocrine and nervous system recalibration.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not easy, but
No, but if I
just remember that you didn't put yourself here. You were put here. You were put into the state of being programmed. You were put into the state in this world of being unconscious. This is the awakening process. It's called that for a reason. This is becoming conscious. And if, I had to sit down and think like, okay, well, why am I still going through this 11 months in? And then I had to realize, well, because it's 46 years of stuff that I never learned to release.
Yeah.
46 years
That's a lot
of trauma,
done.
of grief, of guilt, of programming from religious systems, from political systems, from financial systems. All of that stuff has to be undone. And that's not pretty.
No, it's not pretty. But the cool thing is that awakening does disrupt the body before it stabilizes it. And the result, again, is if you are going through the process and aware of it. This is why we're sharing this, just so you become aware. Because when you're aware of it, you will approach this in a completely different way. And so knowing, okay, I'm being disrupted, but it's in order to be stabilized in a better version of myself, again, it doesn't feel as overwhelming or feel like you don't have control of it because there's purpose behind it. And that makes it very different to just like getting sick from a virus or bacteria and having to deal with it that way. This is very different. And yeah, as hard as it is.
What Rachelle's trying to say is that there are positives to this. This is not a Debbie Downer episode.
No.
But I interrupt you just to say that what you're saying right now, before you move on to your next point you're going to make, is absolutely true. One of the most helpful things to me in this whole journey is just knowing that I wasn't going crazy, I wasn't alone, that this is a process and that other people understand.
Yeah. Yeah. So I guess for me, like something that was very prevalent for me is that awakening actually broke a lot of my old coping mechanisms or my coping patterns. And for me, that was very scary. And so while you think like those are patterns that are more mental, it actually manifests through your body too, because it's the way you act and behave, right? And so that is kind of got to do with your body too. And I know there was stuff like, for me, overworking was a big deal. Like if I wasn't doing something, I was doing nothing. It means I was being pretty useless in that minute of that day, which was unhelpful for me. Things like people pleasing, I was really stuck in the pattern of people pleasing because I believed if everyone else around me was happy, then I could be happy too. And so that you start questioning that very quickly and going like, just like the veil lifts. I'm pretty sure this is what Jesus meant by like that veil being torn. It's like the cobwebs clear and you go like, why am I overworking? Why am I people pleasing? Why do I feel like I have to do my religious duties? Like, why am I like seeing myself in avoidance? Why am I seeing myself trying to control this situation? And these were all coping patterns that you know me, I had all of them. And it's crazy because once again, just the awareness comes and you go, why am I doing this? Because it's putting my body in fight or flight, continuously on edge. You go like, I need to start being actively involved in my coping patterns and seeing how I can let go of them and where I can create space for myself to not be moving in those things anymore. And for me, it was just, once you see the truth in it and in your behavior and how it affects your body, you just can't unsee it. And it's just been a beautiful process for me. I've never felt more free. I've never felt more me. And there's no other way to get here. So I'm really grateful that I am here. And just again, if those things like stood out to you, you can let them go. You're safe. You're safe to let your coping patterns go and just find out who you are without them. That's my encouragement. Find out who you are without those patterns and you'll find something truly beautiful.
Yeah. I definitely know leading up to when this process started, there was a period of time running the startup that I had where my coping pattern was to numb. It was just
100%.
to numb the situation, you know, and some people do that with drugs, some people do that with alcohol, or opioids or whatever. Mm-hmm. But numbing the situation, I think a lot of people live like that. 100%. And so it's worth asking what situation you're numbing. Mm-hmm. The other one for me that was the massive overlap was religious duty.
Big time.
The religious duty was a coping mechanism for me. It made me believe that I was living a life of purpose when I really wasn't. It made me believe that I had a place of finding worth. Mm-hmm. And I really wasn't discovering my self-worth at all. And many, many, many other things I could add to that list.
True.
That go along with religious duty. So it's interesting. You can make your own list of your old coping patterns, but it's worth meditating on and thinking about it. But, you know, all in all, the thing about this is to understand that your body is working with you, not against you. It was a big turning point for me to realize that.
Yeah.
And there are things that you can do to help your body work with you and for you to work with your body. One of the biggest things, honestly, this may sound weird. Oh, I'm actually going to say one that is going to sound very weird, and then I'll say the secondary weird one. But I didn't touch myself enough.
Oh, you were waiting for an opportunity to say that. Did you make a note of that somewhere and then wrote
Didn't touch myself enough. So touch yourself.
Please
if you feel
elaborate.
pain in your body, touch yourself there.
Yeah.
Let your body feel. Think about it. When's the last time you rubbed your legs or touched your foot or touched your back? When we have a pain, we want to run from it. When you touch where that pain is, you're connecting to it.
Wow.
And when you connect to it, you can speak to it. You identify it. And when you identify it, you can unravel it.
Wow.
You can work through it. And when I say speak to it, I literally mean it. Speak to your body. Body, you're doing a great job. Body, you're intelligent. Body, you know how to do this. Body, I'm here for you. I support you. You got this, body. You're doing well, body. I do this all day now, all night when I'm awake as well, which is most of the time as well. But it's a great replacement for when you want to go, oh, I'm in so much pain again. Oh, am I ever going to replace that? Replace those words with body. I trust you, body. And you said it earlier, babe, but it's such an important one. Body, you are safe.
Yeah.
That is going to help you rewire your nervous system. Body, you are safe. And I learned this in this podcast I mentioned. Look around the room and go, I'm here in my lounge. There's nothing attacking me. I have no reason for fight or flight. I'm safe right now. You feel that pain in your body because your body wants to protect you from future pain and suffering. But right there in that moment, your body doesn't realize you're not in danger.
Yeah.
And so you have to rewire it. So you have to speak to it and tell it, it's safe, it's okay. And then listen to what your body's telling you. What questions is your body raising? Like, let's go really simple. So awakening and everything aside, you got a bad headache? Maybe your body's telling you you're dehydrated. That's simple. What is your body telling you? And the same goes through these awakening symptoms. And so don't view these symptoms as enemies. View them as communication.
Yeah,
and then track them. Track the patterns of how they happen. Because if you can track the pattern, then you start realizing, like I know, for example, there's a pattern that emerged that I would have 3 really rough days. Really rough days. I'd feel like I just couldn't do anything. And then I'd have 2 really good days where I had energy again. And I started to understand that pattern. And so when I'd start having the 3 rough days, I'd go, okay, my body's working. I understand my body's working. And I'm going to have 2 rest days coming up. But right now we're working. And I'm working with you, body. I got you. Let's do this. Let's go through this time. I know it's 1:30 in the morning and I'm feeling pain, but I know what you're doing. You're healing. You're adjusting. You're realigning. You're restructuring. You got this.
Yeah.
And then when those days would come where they were good days, then I'd know it's not a free-for-all, but I got to rest because the pattern will repeat.
Yeah.
You know, and those ways will get less. But if you understand the pattern, it gives you the freedom to work within it. And, you know, Rachelle already mentioned breath and those tools, and that's good. And just having awareness before you formulate a story in your mind about what's going on is super helpful and can help you actually be proactive in this instead of reactive to pain.
Yeah, it's amazing. I know, like, the way you speak about it, you actually make it sound so simple to be in that frame of mind, but I want to just put a little, no, but I just want to make a note here, like, you had to work the first thing you did was work on your mind to get your understanding of your mindset. You did a lot of the Dr. Joe Dispenza stuff on understanding how powerful your thoughts are. Like, that's where you started. When your body went into this, you knew you had to get your mind into a right place to be able to, the mental grit and resilience that you need to be able to at 1:30 go, I love you, body, we've got this, let's work through this. Like, you made that sound like you haven't had to work to get there, but you put in that work as well mentally to get to a place where you could speak to your body in that way. And so we, as much as we're speaking about body today, for that, like, you got to understand that you can't separate it from the mental, and that your mind in this is so important.
Absolutely, and 100%. And my hope is that I get to share that development so that you can shortcut it.
Yes.
Yeah, and I think obviously a lot of stuff that I watched and read helped me shortcut certain things too. So, yeah, it's not easy. You're right. It's taken a lot of time and a lot of reminding. And to be honest with you, I don't want to make it sound easy. It isn't easy.
Yeah.
This is the hardest thing I've had to work through in my life. But I'm hoping to make it a little easier for you. I'm hoping to make it a little smoother for you. And yeah, it's
amazing. It's crazy. It's just so clear that through this, like, your body has been your teacher, actually. Like, your body has actually taught you how to look after it. So going forward, like, you're so connected and so embodied in this lifetime, which is very rare and people don't get the opportunity to do. But also understanding that how your intuition speaks to you through sensation, but then also that, like, your soul or your spirit speaks to you. I think it's speaking to you through your nervous system. Like, I think that's where our souls are actually just triggering our nervous system to tell us, hey, you guys, this is what you came to Earth to deal with. Tap, tap, tap. This is the thing. And it comes through your nervous system. And so it blows my mind how phenomenal our bodies actually are when you can see how intentional everything is. And again, being aware of that can really make this process a lot easier for people to deal with, because we came in with no knowledge, no understanding of any of this. And man, I hope people are taking notes, because I wish I had this podcast before this year started so that we could have understood what the heck was going on. And I'm so thankful and so grateful that God's source has been by us every step of this way, and that we have made the right decisions, I believe, in this process, because we could have put you in hospital on day 3 and I don't know if you would have made it.
I honestly think I would have died in hospital. I truly believe that. I've thought about it many times. I really think I would have died in hospital. I don't think this would have been diagnosed correctly. At the very best, they would have given me pain killers or whatever to live on for the rest of my life. Yeah. And that would have masked the real me. And it wouldn't have been just like, I wouldn't have been here really. But I think as takeaways, if you're going through awakening, and we have mentioned every awakening has both mental, emotional, and physical aspects to it. If you're going through the physical aspect in particular, in regards to this episode, just realize a few things. One, that your body is not betraying you. It's actually leading you. Yeah. And it's good for you to trust it. That your body has been waiting for years, maybe decades, like mine, for you to finally hear what it's trying to tell you, what it's trying to set you free from, what it's trying to have you release. That if you've been scared of what your body is feeling, then please let this episode be reassurance to you that awakening is a full body experience. It's not just, oh, I changed the way I live, or I changed where I shop or such, which is a big part of it. You'll end up changing the food you eat. You'll end up changing the people you hang out with. All of that will be part of your awakening journey. But it's not just that. It's a full body personal experience, because you are autonomous and you are sovereign and your body is yours to manage. And so this is one way of it teaching you how to manage it. And that your body is not the barrier to awakening, it's actually the doorway. So you're not falling apart, as hard as it might be to accept. Even when you're in pain, you are waking up. Thanks for listening. We hope you enjoyed this episode.
If you found it valuable, please share it with someone who might need it too.
Remember, if you have left church or feeling you need someone to process some of these thoughts with, you can book a 15-minute discovery call on our website. You can also discover more of our mentorship programs and how I can help you through the void, bridging from what was to what is.
Visit unchurchingpodcast.com and follow us on Instagram at Unchurching Podcast. Till next time.
Cheers. Ciao. Goodbye.